4 weeks in a row where it couldn't get above. That was 6 individual daily candles that could not get above it. That's 6 times that bulls tried to push through that level and couldn't get through it. That means something. That means more than this level here of 25,962, right, where nothing's happening. It means more than that. Go over into 2022, and you can see same thing as the weeklies. Go over and see is there anything else of interest. You can see this first one that I talked about. So this is the benefit of going to your lower time frame, because if you remember on a weekly, when I look at this pivot, it still looks super relevant, right? So this point here is what I'm looking at on the weekly. Like, that's very, very interesting to me. I see a nice deep weekly wick that price then rejects and goes up. But I don't know if this, when did this happen? Did this happen after the top and it crashed down and bounced? Did it happen before the top and cause the price to propel there? And there is actually another one here. There's actually the top of this move on the weekly, right? So we drill down back into the daily, and this is where you can see more price data. You can literally see 7 times as much data on the daily as you can on a weekly. So we have this nice wick up here where it stopped price. Then price broke above that level. So broke above 28.5, went all the way up to 34. Big sell-off. Imagine the emotion in this. Imagine the leverage flush. Imagine the liquidations. For every new phone was in long in 33, 34. Then they get wiped out down to 28. Right? And it deviates below that but holds and validates that level. And not just that. It then does the key thing that I look for, that I call stuff, the reason I call anything a pivot for me, is that it then produced an impulse. What's an impulse? It's a significant unidirectional move. Meaning a significant move in one direction or the other. So this, it was resistance. We then impulsed through it. We then tested off it and ran from 28,500 all the way to 42k in the space of 4 days. This was the springboard. This is the last point, right? From 27.7 to 28.6, this small price range of about a 1%, not even 1%, right? That, or maybe 2%, whatever, that little area was the catapult for a $14,000 price move, right? Which is a 50% price move. So look at it. Just look at this. This little 3% wick produced a 50% pump. That's significant. So if you want a definition of what an impulse is, you cannot get better than that. Okay? Then, of course, price comes down, respects it here. And so I go looking for more impulses. How has price reacted in the future off that level? Well, you can see obviously it held multiple times as the bottom of the market. And so while it didn't touch it, while the retest of it here didn't produce a straight move to 69k, it was the bottom and it double bottomed. And that led a new uptrend all the way up to the top of the market. Then came down, sold off into the lows, tried to go below and push us into a brutal bear market, below 30, below 29, below 28, rejected, pushed back up, marked the bottom of the market, and away we went again to 69. And then we come back across, and now we're going to see some of the things that I really like to see as well, is price acting in the opposite direction too. Because what is the best, your best single level on any chart is going to be a support resistance level, right? It's going to be a level that respects price both as support and as resistance. So this pivot of 28,600 very, very clearly acted as support. It acted as support for all of 2021. It was the bottom of the market for all of 2021. Here, 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 and that was it. That took us into 2022. So for an entire year, that was the low, right? The lowest point the price would go after we initially broke out. As I said, then we came down. We had the crazy wick with all the liquidations of Luna. But on a daily chart, you can see the price clustered around this level and held really strongly as support. This, don't get blindsided by the fact that we went lower after. This means that bulls were trying to defend this. People were buying. Now, they got overwhelmed by sellers in the end, but people were desperately trying to defend this level. That means this level has massive significance to the market. And then what I really like is an impulse move off it. So when it finally lost, we finally lost this level, you might just look at this and say, oh, look, price went from 32 down to 18. And yeah, if you look on a weekly or a monthly chart, that's what it looks like. But it didn't, right? It went from 32 and then it tried to hold 28.5 once again. And as soon as that lost, right, as soon as it stopped doing what it did before, right, no daily closes below, no daily close below. As soon as we got one daily close below that level, we had an impulse candle right away. Right away we had a 5% red candle followed by a 10% or 15% red candle and then on down into the lows. That's a big impulse. So that adds, again, confluence, validity to that idea for me. We pump up again, 2023, acts as resistance, right? And then we also get an impulse of it. So the exact same thing from May 2022 and June 2022, just inversed, is showing this pivot level, pivotal point, whatever you want to call it, acting the way you'd want it to act. No daily closes above it. Zero. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 wicks go above that line. None of them close. Right? As soon as we get one that closes through it, it's an impulse candle and it pushes the price higher. It goes all the way up to 31,000, right? Now, it doesn't lead to a new bull market, but it certainly shows that it's a key level and it's an important level. Price then comes in and chops around it. And this is important too. Price is not always going to respect your level. If trading was that easy, right, everyone would be millionaires and billionaires. It's not about will it do it every single time. It's does 28,600 produce more impulses and have more probability, a higher probability of being a support resistance than any other random price? Yes, it does. It's very clear that 28,600 is more important than 14,372. Okay, and that's what you're trying to do here. And you're not trying to do it to a dollar, of course, but you're saying this area, this 28,500, 600, 700, this area is the one I want to watch. This is my key level. And then you extrapolate that out and you do that with other key levels. And so, bit of chop around it, no real clear signal. Price came up, couldn't get to it, was front ran. Price came up to it again, impulse through it. Then price came down and held it once, twice. And then, more recently, which is very good too, because this pivot started back in 2021. Right? So you could say, oh, by now the market's sick of buying and selling 28,600. Doesn't seem to be, because in July it held. And again, as soon as it broke, it produced a 15% red candle, right, all the way down. Came back up into that level where it first caught my eye in terms of this lesson, right? So then what do? Well, now you've marked it and you can say, all right, I can definitely call this a pivot. You can call it whatever you want, by the way. You can call it a fucking magic line go boing. It's just a word, right? The words are not magic, just like the line isn't magic. But definitely this level has more validity than any just random level you could draw on a chart. So we play it on and we see how price reacts, okay? So price then comes up and rips all the way through it. Now, I traded this live in trading analysis, or a live, fucking, what do you call it? My messages. I wasn't actually streaming it, but I was talking about this level all the way through this. And if I go to a lower time frame, I'll explain exactly what I did. And I showed and I broke down the exact trade I took off it. This was my pivot level. So we had the fake ETF news back in October, 16th of October. And then after that, look what happens again. No daily closes above it. No daily closes above it. Zero daily closes above it. What happened as soon as we got a daily close above that level? That was it. The pivot was flipped and price impulsed. And not just impulsed, it kick-started the whole move. Right? Now, trading is not about finding the absolute low and the absolute high. Trading is about finding areas where you can define your risk tight enough to allow yourself to reap the rewards when you do get big moves. Yeah? So I didn't have to catch the bottom, and I didn't catch the bottom. I just traded it from 28,600 up to about 30,500. I actually didn't take the rest of that trade. I took profit too early, unfortunately, but that's the game. But the level allowed me to take a trade. Actually, I took two trades because I shorted this fake pump, which I also mentioned in trading analysis. I shorted this fake pump from 30,200, which it went to on Bybit and derivative exchanges. And where did I close it? You can go back and look at trading analysis. I shorted it at 30,200 and I closed it at 28.5. Right on that wick when it came down. I didn't wait for it to go any further any longer because it was an important level. Right? Now, even though price went back below it, that's immaterial to me. The key level was what I was looking at, the pivot. So it helped me define my risk and get an exit on one trade, and it helped me enter along on another trade. That doesn't mean it'll work every single time. It doesn't mean it's magic, but it certainly helps you with conviction because it's something you've studied. You've actually gone and looked and you see, yes, there is something about this level that is better than just a random line on a chart. That will help you to have conviction in your trade. And conviction is one of the biggest things that you need as a trader. The ability to just say, yes, I am going to get long here because my system says so. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. It doesn't matter. I have conviction because this level has a high probability. Doesn't mean it's definitely going to work, but it has a high probability of working in my favor if I manage my risk. That's all you're doing, right? So, there's actually another good pivot that is on my mind, which I'll go to. I think I have it here. It's on 40 cents or 37 cents. And we'll see a couple nice impulse moves. Yeah. So I had been looking at Algorand more recently. Obviously, this is recorded in end of October 2023. So if you're watching this in the future, hello from the past. Just for reference, this was in October 2023. And so the level itself was, I think it was in the 40s actually. And it produced several nice impulses. I think it was this one. Maybe it's this one I've already marked at 39. If you drill down into it, anyway, I found it on the weekly, okay? As you always do, you start on the weekly. And you look at some of these levels, right? And you think, what am I looking for? So for the same reason that I mentioned with the Bitcoin example, you can look at this top one at 67. So the first thing caught my eye was these three lows. So as soon as I see them, this second part of the lesson will just be about how to eyeball them quickly, because I know it might seem easy when I do it, and it obviously is very easy with the benefit of hindsight in a lesson. It's not so easy in real time, but the first thing you want to do is just train your eyes, which comes from screen time. I've done this for years and years and years, right? Screen time will help. These three lows screamed out to me. So I looked on the weekly, those three lows. Okay, I'm going to draw a line across those and then see, does that matter at all? Where else does it respect around here? Was it, well, yeah, it also acted as support here. Yes. And then even on a weekly, I can see a big impulse came after. Okay, cool. Then I look back. All right, it stopped price here on a weekly, and then it impulsed massively, right? So after this weekly, this was just a slow grind up. After it broke through this level on the weekly, it went from 65 cents to 180. It done a 3x in 2 weeks. That's important. And guess what? It was resistance over here. It stopped a move from 13 cents to 69 cents. So it was a 5x pump that stopped at that level. We go back over here, and it was a sort of a weekly close candle with some validity. Certainly enough to get you interested at that 67 cents level. So then we do the same thing. We zoom into the daily, and we go right across to all the price history you have. When you're doing this, make sure you're doing it on the chart that has the most price history. If you want the chart with the most price history for any alt on TradingView, generally type in the ticker and type in USD, not USDT, or just USD, and then look for the one that says crypto on it. Right? That's not from any specific exchange. That's just from TradingView. And TradingView will generally have collated as much price history as possible from all their sources. So that's the one you should use if you want the most price history. And then we look on a daily. All right, cool. So came into this area, briefly held it, nothing special, acted as resistance there quite nicely, acted as support, great. And then it sold off and into a bear market. Right, then it comes back up, no daily closes above. Right, that's important. When you look at these things on different time frames, you'll spot nice, some nice interesting intricacies. I've shown this already on the Bitcoin one about the importance of having no daily closes above a level, and then suddenly you get one. right? That's like your break of structure. If you watch my lessons on market structure, BOS, break of structure. It couldn't close a daily above here. Then it sells off all the way down. So it couldn't close dailies above 67. And because it couldn't close daily candles above 67, it ended up going as low as 22. So obviously, something very significant happened here. Some big players got short. Some big players dumped their spot bags, right? That's the only way the market can go down, is when the big players get out or get short. So that's where they decided to do it. So does that mean it's going to be an important level on the way back up? Absolutely. It's going to have some massive interest in the eyes of traders. Comes back up. Again, no daily closes. If you focus and hone in on just that point, you should do well with pivots. Couldn't close dailies above it, right? Wait. What happens as soon as there's a daily close above it? And this one's actually perfect. You won't always get this, but you get an almost perfect retest of it the next day. But focus on the main thing, the daily close above that pivot. And what happens? Away it goes. Huge, enormous impulse from the 67 level all the way up to 180, right? Comes back down. And look how relevant this level was. If you, and this is very relevant for anybody in late 2023 if you're watching this, and we're in this kind of pre-bull phase, where some coins are going to do moves like this. Probably not this violent or wild, but there's going to be coins breaking out from pivot levels right now that 6, 7, 8 months from now, after they've done all the madness, and after all the apes have aped in and bought the top and over leveraged, it's going to flush them out and everyone's going to think it's a new bear market and we're all going to zero. Well, look where they come back to. Keep an eye on your pivots, right? Because this would have been your perfect floor to get long algo again for the actual final leg of the bull run. So very, very significant level. Came back down all the way to it in 2022. Then battled around it for a while. And once it got lost, again, once that 67 was convincingly lost, led us to new lows all the way to new all-time lows. And so we'll finish the lesson here. But if you're a fan of algo, for whatever reason, and you're feeling like investing in algo at 11 cents, I'll tell you where I'd be exiting. I wouldn't be looking to hold algo much more than that, right? Now, if it can get up there and flip that level, maybe it goes to the moon, but that's certainly the level you want to have your eye on. High time frame, right? We're talking months from now, if not years from now, if it does rally. So, pivots. That's the definition of pivots was shown in the previous lesson. That's how I use them myself. So if you see me talking about them in the chat, it's more about a level that has validity, that has interest, that has shown impulses in the past, that is a valid support and resistance. And you'll see that it works on Bitcoin, it works on altcoins. It is not magic. It does not mean you're going to make money. You're probably going to draw shit pivots at the start, just like I drew shit pivots and shit support resistance levels and shit liquidity levels and shit order blocks and shit supply and demand zones when I started trading. Yeah? Don't expect and don't watch the lesson 3 times and say, Michael, I don't understand it. I can't get pivots. My pivots are bad. Your pivots are going to be bad, right? Just like the first time you try and swing a golf club, you're closer to hitting yourself than the ball. It takes time, which is fine, because there's no expiration date on your skills as a trader. It's not like you get to 35 and suddenly you can't trade anymore. You're going to do this for the rest of your life, and you should be hoping to anyway, right? So use it or don't use it, but at least try it. Consider it. Maybe it'll make a difference. Maybe it'll be the difference between you being a profitable or an unprofitable trader. GM.